Hey everybody, it's Tom Sharp from Tom Sharp Art, one of the artists at the Art Shack Belize. And I just wanted to share a little bit about myself, how and why I do art. First of all, I don't have a formal art background or education. I took a couple of art classes as a little kid, and this woman would set up bottles and stuff and then tell us to draw and paint it, and then she'd walk away and go into the other room. And I was maybe 10 or 11, and I needed a lot more direction than that. I didn't know anything about perspective or shapes or how to make anything look good, so it was really frustrating. So I quit that class after a couple sessions. And in college, I took one college class, and that was it. But I do have a grandmother who used to paint in watercolors. My mom and my sister have done pottery for years. So there is some interest in my family regarding art. And I've always loved line and color. For me, there's a lot of freedom in art. And so this is how I approach my art making, that every piece really is an experiment. That I might have some idea about the design or the colors I want to use, but every piece is just an experiment. It's only an experiment. And so whatever happens, happens, because I can have a concept in my head of what I want to put down on canvas or paper or tile, and sometimes the paint, the art just doesn't come out the way that I want it to. So every piece is an experiment, and with this, it helps me to eliminate expectations of, well, this is what I wanted to paint, and I'm so disappointed because it didn't turn out the way that I wanted. Secondly, how I work is that I use principles, but there really aren't a whole lot of rules in art, and that's part of what I like about art, the freedom in it. To me, art is somewhat similar to jazz music. You know, in a jazz piece, you have a tempo and you have a signature. But in most jazz pieces, there's also bars for the musicians to improvise. And during that time of improvisation, the tempo can change, the key might change. A musician might play a solo one night and play a solo the next night, and they're going to be completely different than what they were from the time before. And so I see art very much in that way, that there is some structure to it, there are some principles, but there really aren't some hard, fast rules that say you have to do it this way or you can't do it that way. So I like the freedom in life. One of my philosophies is that don't take life or yourself or art too seriously. That life can be difficult, and now with being in the middle of World War C, everyone is having to make adjustments to our lives. So don't take yourself too seriously, and sometimes I put that into my art, where things are whimsical or exaggerated or silly. And finally, I encourage people just to keep on arting. The way that everybody gets better is by arting, by practicing, 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 just putting it out there. So, in thinking about why I paint, in addition to the appeal to feeling free, is I like bringing something to life that didn't exist before. And to me, that's really exciting, to create something or take something out of my imagination and put it on a canvas, and now it exists. Many of you know that my real job is for over 30 years, I've worked with survivors of abuse and people coming out of trauma. And so art helps me decompress. It helps me deal with the stress and the pressure of hearing all of these stories and handling all of these emotions from my counseling clients that are dealing with traumatic situations in the past. But probably the most important reason for me is that arting helps me feel closer to God. That God is the ultimate creator. He's the most creative being there ever has been. and even our creativity comes from him. And so when I'm arting and being creative and imaginative, I feel closer to him, and that just inspires me even more. So, whatever situation you find yourself in, whatever materials you have at hand, take those and see what you can make, and see how it impacts your decision making, how it impacts how you think and how you feel. Let that be a time to allow yourself to express things that you might have inside that you weren't aware of. So, uh, thank you for listening, and keep arting, and take a visit to the Art Shack Belize.